Welcome back to Podsauce. I'm Dax Holt.
I am Alicia Renee.
All right, we got a big one right now. I'm excited.
I am too. I feel like I've known her for eternity because our mutual friend Charlamagne the God speaks about her all the time and her comedy and has bigged her up.
Absolutely. Flame Monroe. She has a podcast called Laugh and Learn. It is blowing up, going up the charts.
Welcome to the show, Flame.
Well, hello. Thank you guys for having me, Podsauce. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Dad.
Hey.
I'm feeling the energy already. You know, I know when it's going to be a good interview when you feel the energy through the screen.
Come out the gate swinging. You know, first I want to say, Flame, one of the things that I was talking to one of our executive producers earlier about it, this is one of the things that I love most about your comedy, and I think people will love about your podcast, Laugh and Learn, is because someone who is an advocate to the LGBTQ plus community, but still a visitor, can feel like they can listen to, talk back to the podcast and ask questions and not feel shamed or vilified because you don't know.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Tell me about what you want people to take away, the biggest overarching thing you want people to take away from your podcast.
I want you to come to learn.
Yeah.
And in the process of teaching you, as a student when I was in school, the teachers that were the most fun, I always remembered that I learned the most from.
Yeah.
So when you teach and you make it easy and you can laugh with it, it just makes you receive it better. And it might be, hard to hear, or painful to hear, but when you can laugh with the person who's teaching you, it's just easier to take into your DNA. So that was always my philosophy. The teachers that were fun, I learned more, I was smarter with. So I figured if I was going to teach people or help people to understand my lifestyle and who I am or what I do, let's laugh while doing it. And in the process, if you think you're laughing at me, you're actually not laughing at me. You're laughing with me because I'm teaching you. I'm actually laughing at you because you didn't know.
And you should know. I didn't want to come out the gate swinging, but since you brought it up, we'll circle back to it in the vein of teaching. You've been recently in the news with TMZ defending Dave Chappelle.
Because I'm pregnant. I'm
yes,
having
honey. What is it that you think people are missing, either within the trans community or even as someone who is outside the LGBTQ plus community? What is it that you think they're missing that Dave was trying to say?
I think that they missed that Dave evolved in that special. If you go back a couple of his specials, Dave had to say some very harsh things towards the LGBT community, jokingly and fun. But if you listen to him in this last special, The Closer, he talked about how he talked about some different things before. And at the end of the special, the brokenhearted and compassion in his voice, when he talked about his friend who happened to be transgender, white, a stand-up comedian and a dad. We are everything that she was, I am, except for being white. And I'm not a friend of Dave Chappelle's. But when he spoke about his friend and addressed her as she, you can hear the involvement in his voice, because had he been transphobic or homophobic, he would have never addressed this transgender woman as she. He would have never called her his friend, and he would have never given her the opportunity that he gave her, because of course he was transgender. And he did say that she bombed for 45 minutes. But that was funny too, but that was his friend. They didn't hear the heartbreak in his voice. And I hate that the victims became the bullies. And this woman, and it's what Lemon said. She may have had some other underlying issues, but her community turned on her. Our community turned on her, and she couldn't handle it, and she committed suicide. Now, may she rest in peace. Her name was Daphne, and I hope she rests in peace. I'm praying for her daughter, but that's not my DNA. So when y'all want to come at me, not only do I know Pookie and Ray Ray them, I used to be them.
Not Pookie, Ray Ray, and them.
And them.
And them.
Them. N-E-M.
Them. So you're not even gonna put that D there? You just gonna take the D off, huh? And them.
That lets you know how ignorant it is. Because not only do I know them, I used to be there.
It's not even ignorant. You gotta say ignorant, Flame. You gotta say ignorant. It's not even ignorant. That's how ignorant.
I-G-N-A-N-T, ignorant.
Do you feel that, I feel there's a lot of comics that are criticized on a daily basis for their comedy. You being a comic, is it a hard time in our society to be a comic?
Oh my God, absolutely. And what Dave Chappelle did was let everybody know that you will not censor us. We are the comics of yesteryear. We are not a dying breed. And when I say that, Red Fox, Richard Pryor, Dick Gregory, George Carlin, Lenny Bruce, so many were allowed to say how they felt, when they felt, because the social consciousness of comics should be to talk about things that are uncomfortable for you to say. We should talk about racism openly. We should be able to talk about fat, skinny, black, white, short, funny looking, bad clothing in a joking way. And why would you come to a comedy club knowing that if you got big hair or if you're a big person, you might get picked on, and then you're gonna come and get overly sensitive about your feelings? Absolutely not. As a comic, I had to stand up for the comedians because I will not be censored. As a trans woman, I want to be treated fairly. And as a black person, because I am pro-black, that does not make me anti anything else. And I will hope that whatever nationality you identify as, or that you are pro that nationality and not make you anti anything else. But I'm pro-black. I can hide the trans. I can hide the comedy. I can't hide this black, and don't want to.
Do you feel with wearing all those hats, Flame, that you find yourself in a situation where you have to figure out which battle you're going to lead with first? And that's in regards to being a comedian, being a trans woman, but being also a black woman. Like, do you feel that there's a space where you kind of have to say, okay, this is the battle I'm taking on today first, and this is why? Or
yes, I do. I definitely believe that. But here's the thing. No one person can speak for any complete group.
Fair.
So I couldn't speak for all black men or black trans women. I couldn't speak for all trans people. I can't even speak for all comics. What I can do is stand in my truth, live in my conviction, and speak the way I want to speak. No one will change me or dismay me. If you want to teach me something and you come to the table with your hands open and willing to give it to me, I'll listen to you. And if it's worth me learning, I'll listen to it to learn. But if you come with your fist balled up and angry and disgruntled, all we're going to do is go back and forth. That's it. No one person can speak for an entire group. I could not. But if I had to say that, yes, I'm going to defend the comics because I work as a comedian and I work mainstream as a comedian. I don't work in the LGBT circle because my comedy is not built for LGBT. My comedy is universal. As a black person, of course, I see everything that's going on. I have so many people offer to interview me, all these coalitions and black this and black that. But I ain't hear from y'all when Breonna Taylor was shot in her bed. I damn sure didn't hear from y'all when George Floyd had a knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Now you think I want to talk to you about being transgender and Dave Chappelle? Absolutely not. Absolutely, it's my choice. Absolutely not.
Oops. And the oops. I'm like,
Mic drop right there.
No, but I feel like, and that's one of the things as a comedic actress, but also as a woman of color, you know, that's one of the things that you feel like, okay, well, which one am I going to lead through the door first? You obviously want to represent all of the things that make up you, but then you also have to take stock and inventory in when it came to the Me Too movement. White women didn't have our back. You know, it was kind of, you know, relegated towards if it just served the cis white woman, you know, not the atrocities that happen within the LGBTQ plus, as you know, LGBTQ plus women of color, black women, like, so you do find yourself in a space of you kind of go back to the communities that support you, even though obviously as one of the most forefront comedians who happens to also be a trans woman, you found yourself in spaces where, well, my very own community didn't support me, so, you know, I'm gonna go in these spaces that are giving me a voice and a platform.
And no one asked me. No one asked me.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is because you're part of a community or a demographic that as soon as you get a little shine, you're automatically slated to be the spokesperson or slated to be the one that you're the icon. No, I'm not. I never signed up to be that. That was never a dream of mine. I never aspired to be the advocate or the spokesperson for the trans community.
So is that
or the
a
gay
mantle
community.
you don't want to take on, Flame? Because
and I will not.
Okay.
I refuse to. I don't even want the responsibility of it. But I do want people who will speak like me and for me and who believe in what I believe in to be on that, who is passionate about it. I'm not passionate about it. My goal is to host the Oscars, Grammys, Emmys, Tonys, Oscars, GABN, ABN, and even the GLAAD Awards. I am an MC because I am so comfortable being me that I allow you to be comfortable around me because that's who I am. So I look at it like if I'm a transgender person or I identify as gay or whatever, and you've never been around a person like me, I'm such a cool person that when you get a chance to actually be around me, my energy transfers to you. You be like, you know what? Flame is cool as a fan. Maybe the next person that I meet that's kind of like her or looks a little different from me, they might be as cool. Now, it won't happen. No one is as cool as me.
Just to be clear.
But you might at least take the time to say, hey, what's your name? How are you? As opposed to just like, I don't want to be around that, because I have made it that much easier letting down the wall between us and them. Ask me what I want to do, but don't naturally put me in a position to say you're the spokesperson. You know, I almost got kicked off They Ready because of this same thing.
Really?
Yeah. One of the producers wanted me to be, you could be the spokesperson, you could be the face. Ask me what I want to do. That's not what I want to do.
You know what it sounds?
I want to be a comedian.
Well, because you know what it sounds like, Flame? Sorry. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like, and let me know if I'm not saying this correctly, but I'm pretty sure you can tell my heart thus far, you know. It sounds like you just want people to know you're a comedian. That's first. And you just happen to be a trans woman. But when you
and
put
I always start off my comedy with that. I am a comedian that happens to be transgender. Because if I wasn't transgender, if that wasn't in me, I would still be a comic. Okay. I just wouldn't look like this.
Because it kind of sounds like if they put that before you being a comedian, it's like it qualifies, okay, well, this is why we have to make her special because it's this caveat versus like, no, that's my normal life. That's my normal space.
Exactly.
Am I hearing you correctly?
Exactly correctly. And I thank you for hearing exactly what I said.
Okay.
You know,
that's what happened with Dave Chappelle's special. They didn't hear what he said.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to go to that because what has the reaction been online? Because your support, I feel like, deserves more support. So I'm interested. Are you getting a lot of feedback from people out there saying good for you for speaking up and supporting him? Because I feel like sometimes when it's, you know, you have all this negative emotion being poured onto him, someone standing up, that is a really positive thing in my mind. Mm-hmm. I don't know, what's the reaction been like online for you?
I am getting fantastic love from the comedy community. They are loving that because I haven't reached the plateau of where I'm afraid to speak up for comedians because everything will be snatched away. So since I'm not there, it's easier for me to speak because there's a lot of comedians who have reached that plateau but won't say anything and know what's happening to comedians that are on the rise like myself. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting a lot of love from my fellow constituents, my other comedian friends, a lot of the gay community. I'm getting a lot of love and support from some, but then I'm being dragged in the tabloids and being dragged on social media by my community. The victims have turned into the bullies. The difference is I'm the biggest bully on the internet. You won't shake or break Flame Monroe.
50 Cent got nothing on you is what you're saying?
This is West Side Chicago all day. West Side coming in
the original G Unit.
Baby, you have no idea. I told you, not only did I used to be Pookie Ray Ray, I used to sleep with all them players. They all know me.
Come on now. Come on. You know what I think the difference is? Because this is what I like. Because I agree. You take the F word out of it because I personally, and again, I can't tell someone what they should or shouldn't say within their own community. I personally don't like the F-bomb. And you guys know what I'm referring to. And you were very clear when you said, remove that from it. Everything else, there's truth in what he was saying. And we have to figure out, and again, I'm a visitor, so, any of our listeners who are listening that are within the LGBT.
Kick me out, me too.
Well, hey, listen, I still got to qualify what I'm saying because sis needs a job, okay? So anyone within the LGBTQ plus community understand that I am saying this as an advocate, but yes, I am a visitor, so I hope I say this with love and respect. But what you were saying was if you take that part out of it and you listen to the humanity that he has for Daphne, who is no longer with us, and what he is saying and how he's trying to say it, then we can have conversations. But when you vilify, and if the goal is to normalize, and again, I say that aspect with respect, if the goal is to normalize trans men and trans women and anyone within the LGBTQ plus community, you have to be willing to get these jokes off like everybody else and get these jokes like everybody else if it's not said from a place of malice. And you're saying that's not at all what the angle he was coming from.
And the master craftsman to me of a great comedian.
Wait, did I say that right? Did I say that right, Flame?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And the master craftsman of a good comedian to me, or a great comedian, is to dismantle yourself publicly in front of an audience. Because if you see me take me apart in front of you, it's going to be so much easier for me to take you apart because I've showed you all my vulnerabilities. I've told you everything bad about me and good about me. So when I come and play with you, it should be a little easier because guess what I did first? I started with me. They keep saying he's racist, he's homophobic. He attacked white people and Jewish people like you wouldn't believe in this special, and it was hilarious. But all comics start with their own nationality. Joe Coy, Filipino, tears the Filipino community up, and it's hilarious. Margaret Cho, Asian, destroys the Asian community. Chelsea Handler is Jewish. She destroys the Jewish community. Nobody is in an uproar. Black comedians destroy the black comedians, and it's only us that are in an uproar because we are telling the truth on ourselves. I met a little Mexican comedian a couple of weeks ago at Laugh Factory. His name is Jose Raymond. Hilarious. He destroyed the Mexicans, and it was the most brilliant comedy I've ever seen. To me, when you let down that I'm unafraid because I'm going to give it all to you, I'm going to leave it all right here. When I come after you to attack you, it makes it so much easier for you to intake into your DNA. And a lot of comics don't get that. They get up there and they go on and attack you first. It makes it easier for me to come after you and play with you. Not attack you, play with you, make you laugh with me and at me. Because I'm going to make you laugh at you. That was brilliant to me. He's a brilliant man. And I ain't never met Dave Chappelle.
Well, enough about Dave Chappelle. Let's talk about you and your podcast, because that is why you're on here.
Laugh and learn
Your podcast.
Flame Monroe.
Is that the jingle? Tell me that's the jingle.
He, she, we. He, she, we. That's my unpreferred pronoun. He, she, we.
So you know what? It's so funny you say that because that's one of the things that we wanted to clarify. First, your preferred pronoun but that's how I knew of you from your one of your earlier jokes of he, she, we. She gets the check, he cashes it, and we spend it.
He cashed the check. She makes the money, we spend it.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. She gets the money, he cashes the check.
He just signed the check.
Okay. So in saying that, do you feel that there's a degree why some people within the trans community have a hard time letting you, and you've made it very clear that you're not trying to speak for the trans community, you're just a comedian who happens to be a part of the trans world, but why there tends to be so much contention at times because there's that caveat of the he that you still bring into your stand-up versus full she?
Yeah. I do think that, but here's the thing, Alicia, I can't hear the bell in your head.
Okay.
I can't hear the bell in Dak's head, and y'all can't hear the beat in my head. Everyone needs to dance to their own beat, and we can all dance on the dance floor, but don't try to give me the dance to your beat when I can't hear the beat in your head. People are not listening to the beat in their own head, so busy trying to listen to the beat in somebody else's head. I only hear my beat, and if it works, if it works in the same capacity, great. What we need to understand that no one is ever going to always get along. I live in an all Caucasian community, and they always say, "Oh, people don't like each other because of color." It's my two white neighbors that live next door to me, both the same color, can't stand each other. Not because of color, because they can't stand each other. That's it. But they both friends with me, and one sleeping with the other one husband. I want to tell it, but I want to be nice.
That's the real game.
Hold on, let me sip that tea right here.
That's the real game.
It is piping hot today.
So what I'm saying is that we got to stop judging people off their color, or to stop judging. I'm not going to listen. My he, she, we preferred pronoun is because the community has came after me and turned on me because I don't speak the words and the language that they want me to speak. I speak the words and language that I speak because that's what I'm comfortable with. If we want to ever amend us, the trans community, the gay community, with the heterosexual community, we have to start sending fair-minded, equal people to the table who look and think like us, that are not combative or argumentative or disgruntled, but we keep sending the angriest on the planet to the table to speak for us, and there is never a resolve. In fairness, the heterosexual community will send people who really want to learn and understand.
Yeah.
Without acceptance and understanding, we are never going to get past where we are. But the acceptance needs to start in the LGBT community. See, everybody want to talk about, we want inclusion. We want to be included. Baby, do you know how broken the LGBTQIA plus community is? Because on the front, there's a rainbow flag, but on the back of that picture, there are potholes and cracks and racism and sexism and ageism and classism. And we ain't fixed that in our community while we asking y'all to bring to y'all.
And the funny thing is, that's the most that's the most normal and common thread, even with people outside of the LGBTQ plus community. More specifically, as someone who is of color, we get that. There's colorism, there's ageism, you know, there is sexism within the African American community. It's all the same parallel, you
And
know.
in the LGBTQIA plus community, the trans community, all of the trans community are at the bottom of the ocean. We're not even on the totem pole. We are at the bottom of the ocean. They pull us out when they need us.
Well, you know, I wanted to ask, with your podcast, because you are educating so many people on different levels, you know, what is the one thing that you hear as feedback that people are learning from your podcast?
That's good, D.
On my platform, most biological women, because I don't use the term cisgender, because most of the biological women in my life that I know do not like that term at all. So respectfully, I will always hold the biological woman in high regard, because no matter who you are or what color you are, what size you are, everyone came through a biological woman's birth canal. So I understand what a biological woman is to me and what the capacity that she means in my life. And understand, as a trans woman, I did not learn how to be a girl or feminine or be a woman watching somebody like you, Dax. I learned by watching somebody like Alicia. And the trans community want respect. In order to get respect, you have to respect biological women, because from the land in Silence of the Lamb, we covet what we see. We, as young trans women, when we were young gay boys, or young gay trans men when they were young girls, watch their mother or their fathers. Or their uncles. That's how you learn. You see somebody and you emulate that. And that's not discrediting trans women at all. But a trans woman and a biological woman are two very different women. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about the gender, the sex organ. I'm talking about a man, and a man's heart and mind will never be the same as a woman's heart and mind. A woman thinks very differently from a man. And I say that because I have been the husband and the wife in the same life. And I have never been a biological woman, but I have relationships with biological women. So I know what the emotions are. I know how to push. And I know the loyalty of a biological woman as opposed to a biological man. Because a woman will stay in it way longer than she's supposed to when she knows she should have been got out. But because of her devotion, because of her love, because of her children or her stature, she stays. When a man will say, I'm going to get a loaf of bread,
And never come home.
20 years to find it.
I love the adjustment.
She said not one wrong thing. I'm like, so Flame, I mean, only for the sake of time, you know, I want to hurry up and get your, because this is a podcast discovery show, and whatever you're listening to, I want our listeners to get into it. What are your top 3 podcasts that you feel like people need to check out outside of, obviously, Laugh and Learn?
Well, of course, Laugh and Learn is always going to be number one.
All day, honey.
My partner, Lauren Hogan. Let me give a shout out to my partner, Lauren Hogan. And then, of course, I listen to Charlemagne, the guy. But, you know, I'm going to blow some people's mind right now, because I'm a big advocate of listening to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Okay. He has a podcast?
No, but I listen to his teaching.
Okay. Okay.
I listen to a lot of his teachings, and I listen to, as a black person, because I want to say a black man, but as a black person, a lot of times we get so caught up and everything is so superficial, and I love to know who I am as opposed to what I identify as. I want to know who I am in my spirit. And the measure of a man, to me, has nothing to do with what he looks like, his shape, it is his involvement in his family, his loyalty to his children, his devotion to his wife. And a lot of them miss that. You know, I do believe that it's a man's place to covet his family and take care of his family. And what a man is supposed to look like, nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. A man looks like how he feels. But the response, I teach my son, I have an 18-year-old son that has a full ride to Tennessee State University.
Yeah.
Come on now.
And I teach my son the first law of being a man is to be responsible. You have to be responsible for everything that you do, sir, good and bad. And I've been teaching him that since he was 2 years old. I think that I listen to that because I want to know, and I love that he They always say that he's racist, he tears down black people, but he doesn't. He tears down white people, but he reminds us black people of who we are. He reminds us of who we are, because a lot of us have forgotten. Internet has killed it all. Child, this cancel culture is crazy. They just lazy. That's all. They lazy.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like when Shar says not cancel culture, but council culture.
Lazy culture, because if they had to go get encyclopedias in the dictionary like we did back in the 70s and carry all them books, and you normally you grew up in a black household, you didn't get the whole set at one time. You get them in increments,
right.
And then your mama ran out of money, so you couldn't get the last and ran out of stuff. Yeah, and plus Google lies. Google said I'm worth $700,000. I'm $695,000 short. Somebody owe me some money.
Somebody need to run those coins. Somebody need to run those coins.
Well, I do want to tell our listeners, if you haven't checked out her podcast, check it out. I listened to the Tiffany Haddish episode. It was phenomenal. Your guys' energy between the two of you was just magical. I know that your friendship goes way, way back. I know you've had Common on. It is a phenomenal podcast. A laugh and learn with Flame Monroe, and
follow me on Instagram at Monroe Flame, YouTube at Flame Monroe. Don't follow my Twitter. Good God, it's all porn. Follow me on Facebook, Marcus Flame Monroe Parker. And I do a show called Laugh and Learn on Instagram, usually in the evenings at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, where it's the love guru, because I call myself he, she, we, because I've been the husband and the wife at the same time. So I'm great at giving love advice. Now I'm horrible at relationships of my own because I don't want to be in love.
Okay.
But I am great at giving love advice.
Well, we will
I'm gonna get on because I need all the advice tips I can get. So I'll be there. I will be there.
We will put up a link directly to her podcast. You can head on over to podsauce.com. There will be a link there to direct you straight over to all of her social media and her podcast.
Flame, thank you so much, Mama, for coming on today.
Thank you, Dad, Alicia. Thank you, Dax.
Thank you.
I like that name, Dax.
Thanks.
Dax making all the racks.
I like that.
I know you do. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is Podsauce.